no chance of qualifying for the World Cup, being away from their families, little to no wages outside of the bits of food and airfare that they were being provided in some ways by the league. And it really takes a lot of guts to say, I'm not going to get paid. I'm going to be spending all of the money I'm getting on getting to the next game and eating, but I'm still going to go play the full 26 game season and take it seriously.
Now, I remember the Antigua story was actually pretty cool because there was a game they played against America where they only lost like 3-1.
Yeah.
And it was like, yeah, all these players play for Antigua Barracuda and USL, and that's why they're so like cohesive and coherent. And
Yeah.
then so that was like a really cool story in 2012, and then it just turned into a really sad story last year.
Yeah, and
So
that's why, as it was getting really sad, I realized if the team had no home fans, I could at least try and stir up enough movement to give them some away fans.
mhm.
And after I started that subreddit, when they played in Arizona, the La Furia Roja guys
Yeah.
actually took them out to dinner after
Oh,
the
that's
game
nice.
and bought them all dinner and took them out for a round of drinks and all that and just chatted about soccer. And there was a bunch of it led to a lot of respect for the team when they were traveling. There were people were going up to them and hanging out with them and just supporting them because it's a rough break not having and not being able to go home all year and not getting paid.
Right.
And they really got the raw end of the deal, and it was kind of cool knowing that with that subreddit, at least people were paying a little more attention to the team for the right reasons. They were in it for the soccer and not just the team was losing.
So if you were to ever like write a book in your life, you should write a book on that because that's a really intriguing story, like in the annals of North American soccer, to be honest.
I'd love to do that, and I'm actually probably going to. That's one of my things I'd love to write for Reckless Challenge is a whole history of that because I really want to go in and research it and see who I can call to get as much information that never got out and really explain it properly so everybody kind of knows the real story.
Well, when you write that book, come back on the Slash MLS and we will talk about it in significantly more detail. But let's talk about Oklahoma City for a second.
Yeah.
So they're starting out. You went to their game against the Dallas Reserves yesterday.
Hmm.
Um, they've gotten, I think, what is it, 1 or 2 wins so far, and a loss or two.
Yeah, they're
So
2-0 right now.
okay, so they've a pretty decent start for a very new team, coached by Jimmy Nielsen, the goalkeeper
Hmm.
who won that epic shootout in the last year's MLS Cup final. Um,
Hmm.
and it looked like, and even a little bit of the Oklahoma City NASL management started to come over to the Energy, and it looked like the war was over, but seems like that might not be the case. So what's the deal in Oklahoma?
Well, everything started out a couple years ago when there's two real sports marketing firms in Oklahoma City. You've got Sold Out Strategies, and then you have just gotta double check my information here because I've got a ton of good notes on this. But Sold Out Strategies was the first team. They are that's Brad Lund. He's an Oklahoma City native. Sold Out Strategies is known for working with a lot of local minor league teams. They're a sports management and sports marketing firm. And whenever international friendlies have been played in Oklahoma City, Sold Out Strategies has run a few of those. They run the Denver Cutthroats in the Central Hockey League. They let's see, Oklahoma City's racing the Tulsa Oilers hockey team.
Mhm.
Uh, yeah, quite a lot of minor league hockey in the state of Oklahoma goes through Sold Out. So they started Oklahoma City FC a few years ago that played in the PDL for 2013. At this
Okay,
point, you had OKC Pro Soccer, which is Tim McLaughlin, and then Sold Out Strategies.
okay,
They wanted to get a USL Pro team, However, at the same time, seeing the success of the PDL team, Prodigal Management, led by Bob Funk, founded their bid. That bid became the Energy, the Prodigal bid.
Okay.
And when
So what is Prodigal known for?
They run the minor league, the AAA baseball team in OKC.
How's that going?
They are called the. They used to own the Red Hawks baseball team, which is the AAA, and then they own the American Hockey League Oklahoma City Barons. And they also, at one point, were one of the marketing partners for the OKC Thunder.
So it actually sounds like they're competing on a slightly higher level than the other guys.
They are. The other bid is mainly a AA and single A level. The Taft or the Brad Lund bid with Sold Out Strategies, and Prodigal, they're slightly higher level. They've done X Games. They've worked with NHL. They've worked with AAA baseball, the Arena Football League, and they've actually been a marketing partner for MLS.
Okay.
So
those are the guys that are doing the Energy in the USL, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And when the OKC FC people, the NASL side, realized they couldn't get a USL bid, they decided to go for the NASL instead, just go for the higher level of soccer. However, they were still operating a PDL team at the time, and according to USL regulations, you cannot maintain a USL team and operate in a competing league. So if you want to be in the PDL, you can't have anything to do with the NPSL or the NASL. You can do it with MLS. Yeah.
Which makes sense because USL and NASL have this dumb beef with each other, but.
Yeah, and also NASL and NPSL have their partnership too.
Right.
So if in the NASL side, if you want a fourth tier team and you want to be on the NASL's SAL side of the wall, they're going to say go NPSL. Like Detroit City is more likely to go the NASL route than USL because of that same silly rivalry. Anyway, with that, they had a cease and desist order from USL right after they were announced the NASL expansion franchise. And at that point, Tim McLaughlin bailed from the NASL bid because he didn't want to deal with the non-compete clause and this whole cease and desist agreement.
So he went over to the Energy side, right?
At that point, he was the neutral.
Okay.
And, yeah, he was one of the three initial investors for the NASL side. The third one is yet unnamed. And they are allegedly still there, and Brad Lund is still there. But Tim McLaughlin, about 6 months after this cease and desist suit, he bought a 50% ownership stake in OKC Energy, and he is the guy who owned the stadium lease to the Taft Stadium that the NASL side were going to use.
Right.
And the NASL side were planning on renovating Taft Stadium with the city of Oklahoma City to turn it into a dedicated soccer complex. And OKC are just going to assume that project, and the Energy are going to do all of that.
Which is weird because I remember there was a point at the end of last year where both USL and NASL wanted that, and NASL won that. So was it more that McLaughlin won that, and then he took his win over to the USL side later?
Exactly, because during the lawsuit, Sold Out Strategies had to step back for a bit, and they stepped back, and then Tim McLaughlin took with the OKC soccer company, traded the ownership, where he gave Brad Lund back the NASL reins, but took the Taft Stadium lease with him.
Which is what they actually needed. So
yeah.
All right. So is OKC and NASL, are they dead?
Allegedly, I haven't spoken to them recently, but I did talk to them
Okay.
after Tim McLaughlin jumped ship, and Brad Lund himself said that they're not dead and they still have plans and that we just need to stay tuned. And the Oklahoma City FC branding that was announced a couple weeks ago is covering the NPSL Oklahoma City FC team,
Uh-huh.
the WPSL team they're running,
Yeah.
and they're using that as their NASL branding allegedly.
Right. And
But
then,
I
because
don't
I
know
remember,
where
because I remember in that press release they said OKCFC, Oklahoma City's most elite professional soccer team, which I thought was hilarious because they don't actually play professional soccer. But
yeah, that's what they're using for their NASL, and it's looking like the NASL side is going to be playing at Oklahoma City University's Stars Stadium,
is that a
which,
good idea for them, or
well, it's still relatively downtown, and yeah, their Stars Field is a dedicated soccer stadium. It'll seat about 5,000 people, and it's still downtown. So I don't think it's going to be as big as the renovated Taft Stadium.
but I mean 5,000 is enough for the second division level. I mean,
Yeah,
you know,
but if LA has enough trouble when one team ridiculously outmarkets and outruns the other with the whole Chivas LA situation, I have no idea how this is going to work. But Taft Stadium originally seated 18,200 people up until 2013. It was built during the Works Project Administration back before World War II.
right?
And after renovation, it'll seat 7,500, and it'll be run mainly as a soccer stadium with part-time high school football.
Mhm.
They're hoping to they're hoping to have an ability to switch the line markings. I'm not entirely sure how that's going to go yet,
Yeah.
but it's at least it's a pretty legitimate setup for the stadium, and already the Energy's marketing have not joked around. They have really really done well. Even last night in Dallas, there was a good 50-50 split between OKC fans and Energy fans.
Wow. Or you mean Dallas and the Energy fans?
Yeah, Dallas and Energy fans.
Um,
And
so they've played a home game or two already, right? OKC
no,
has?
not yet.
Not
They've
yet.
yet to
Okay.
play a home game, in fact. But they've during their right after they announced the whole branding and all that, they actually had the MLS Cup. Jimmy brought the MLS Cup to the city for a couple of weeks and was using it as a promotional tool. And you could
That's
come get your hoist the MLS Cup and get an OKC scarf for free as their marketing efforts, and it worked really well.
Yeah, I'd imagine. I mean, getting Jimmy Nielsen in the first place is a hell of a marketing move itself.
Oh yeah, and they had their affiliation with Sporting KC announced before Christmas, and for a while the NASL fans who were because the NASL bid was sort of they appeared to have their shit together earlier because the
Right.
Energy didn't announce any logos till November. But since they've announced their branding, they they've played a full preseason flight of games, tied one and won 6 or 7 against D1 and D2 college teams.
Hmm.
Got a good mix of foreign players and local talent and some loanees. You've got Kyle Gregg and Michael Thomas were the two early standout players. Kyle Gregg spent last year with the Wilmington Hammerheads and
Right.
played for the Kansas City Brass in the PDL before that. And Michael Thomas has spent time. He played for the KC Brass, played in Scandinavia, had a few appearances for SKC in Toronto the past couple years, and is currently the captain for Energy. He was the first player to sign and was announced as captain, and he's been a pretty good leader on and off the field for the team. And Jimmy is just doing amazing work, building a team from nothing into something that's already able to take the fight to LA too. A 4-2 loss against LA Galaxy run team in your inaugural season on the road is nothing to snooze at, especially considering the level of talent they're playing in USL.
Yeah, I actually watched that game, and it was pretty. I was actually impressed by the level of play. Honestly, I felt like the scoreline was a little bit harsh to OKC. They had a lot of really good chances to tie that up in the end.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's going, and then
Yeah.
hopefully that'll resolve itself because I'm honestly just tired of USL and NASL bickering. I really want to see a universe where we can get all the best lower league teams into one deal, or at least have some
Yeah.
I don't know, some tiered system. Or I really don't care. It bothers me because my favorite lower league team is Carolina, and the best lower league
Oh,
teams.
I love the Railhawks.
I love the Railhawks too, and I would love for them to play Orlando. I love for them to play Charleston and Richmond, but they don't.
Yeah.
And
I have a little opinion, and some people